Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is August 10, 2023, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, we're watching oil pushing to new yearly highs for 2023. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So out of the United States at 2:30 South African time, we have a CPI number coming out. That's a core price index number coming out. Very important. And as we look at the various markets going into this number, starting out with the Forex symbols, the euro extending its gains, mild gains, but gains nonetheless. The rest of the majors really unchanged. So looking at the indices, the Dow Jones unchanged, while we're watching the NASDAQ continue to trickle lower. Now looking at commodities, gold continues to push lower and extends its losses while oil reaches and rallies to $84 a barrel. Now looking at the stocks specifically, we're watching the tech sector just breaking down across the board. And lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin remains unchanged. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're going to start with the Euro USD, and as you can see, it extended its gains, but it is hitting resistance-ish level. There's not much going on here altogether. I mean, if you call it extending its gains, this is a mild gains altogether, so just keep that in mind. Now, we are hitting resistance-ish level, especially as we get to the 110-ish level, and you can see it almost hit it and then retraced right afterwards. Now, jumping into the other major pairs, really not doing much. If we look at the British pound, also not doing much. It's consolidating. Maybe this CPI number will shake things up a little bit, but I don't think so. I mean, as we get into this area, better to focus on some of the things that are trading a little bit more volatility. Now, jumping into gold, it is retracing, and now we're getting closer to supportish level. If we see that, we did break over the 30-day and the 8-day moving average. Now, if this 8-day moving average crosses over, which it is doing it on a daily chart, okay? If it crosses over the 30-day moving average, that's generally speaking a breakout move on the downside. Now, we do have supportish level at 1911, so I don't want to celebrate it too soon, but if it does gain some momentum, and especially if we break the 200-day moving average, we'll see a correction there. But most probably not, okay? As we've hit this 911 one before, we bounce off of it, so keep that in mind as that can continue. Now, jumping into oil, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. $84 a barrel, which is a high for the year. I mean, going back to 2022, 2022-ish level of November was when we hit $90 a barrel. So we've been in the first time that we've hit such an area. Now, this could be a breakout fake out, which means it'll correct itself on the downside. So something to keep an eye on, at least for now, for an opportunity. Now, jumping into the U.S. market, the Dow Jones really unchanged day to day. Okay, but if we look at the NASDAQ, trickling lower, okay, it is making lower highs, lower lows, and we may be getting into an area where we will bounce off of, okay? So this is really important. Got to keep an eye on the stocks. Now, looking at the tech stocks, they're soft. Looking at Apple, continues to break down after that gap down. If we look at Facebook, also selling off a little bit here to 305. If we jump into Microsoft, also selling off to 322. So this is systemic. This is across the board. And when this does happen, this is really becomes very important to us, because this may be either a point where we'll bounce off of, especially if we have a good number today with the CPI, or break lower. So keep eyes perked up. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, okay, not doing much here after, getting a little bit of momentum up to 30,000, correcting itself, but all in all, really unchanged and trading in a very tight range. So keep that in mind as we continue to really consolidate when it comes to Bitcoin. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.